David, thank you so much for being with us on the show today.
Kim, I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, you're so welcome. We're excited to learn more.
hmm
So, we want to hear more about your new book, Unleash Your Voice.
Yeah, well, right now it's in process, so we're just starting into that process because the thing I've seen, Kim, is so many people invest in so many different programs, and they get invested and they start going through them, but they realize they're not ready for the program. They're not ready for the social media kit. They're not ready for the promotional kit. They're not ready for those things because they don't know what they have to say. They don't know who they are. They don't know what they're supposed to be saying. They don't know who to say it to, and they don't have any sort of strategy. And so they end up failing a lot of these areas that they want to succeed in. And so they want to get out on social media, but they don't know what to say. They don't know who they're trying to bring into that social media group. And so they get the wrong people in. Then they don't buy from them. They can't figure out why their business won't take off. And so this is where really Unleash Your Voice comes from.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing with us where you came up with this idea. I think that's there's really a need for this. So, why is this process important?
Yeah, well, the process to me, it's so much my journey, because the thing is I've been told my whole life I've got all this potential, and so everyone says, "Oh wow, you're so good, you're so good, you're so good. You can do anything you want to do." I mean, my accounting teacher, 10 years after I graduated, told me I was the best accounting student she'd ever had. All these people, all these places I'd go, they'd be like, "Oh, you're so good. You're a diamond in the rough, man. If you just," and I never knew what to put my time in, and so I got good at a lot of different things, and I could, manage so many different things. I mean, I've had a print house tell me that they need to hire me as a graphic designer. I'm thinking, well, what am I supposed to do? And when you got all kinds of things that you can do, figuring out what you're supposed to do is really tricky. And so this is very close to my heart, because as I've realized that what I love to do is help people overcome their barriers to get where they want to go, to unleash. This is why this is so important, because you can only do so many things in your life. And we want to look back at the end of our life and be able to say, I want what I did to matter. I want to look back and say, I was able to help people. I was able to use what happened to me, what I went through, to benefit people. And so I love helping people find that purpose and figure out how do they share that story, how do they get in front of the people they need to get through to.
So good, David. I love that. So, how will people benefit from this program?
Well, the thing is, I love to help people find clarity, one step at a time. I mean, my business is called Next Steps Coaching because it's all about finding that next step. So many people jump in, and a lot of these programs need you to get all of this information to them immediately. And so you've got a month to figure out all of your talk, all of your messaging, all of your statements, so that they can help you do what they do so well, is get you out there in front of people. And I love those programs because so many of them are so good at it, like building groups for you. But if you don't even know who you want to talk to, then they sit there and they're like, well, who do you want to talk to? And then you get stuck because you don't know. And so what this is designed to do is to really help people think through, who is it that I need to talk to? I mean, when I think about my story, I've been through hard times and crisis in my faith. I've been through almost bankruptcy in my business. I've been through a lot of relational struggles, both inside my family as well as in other professional and personal relationships. I've been through insubordination and leadership, both on my insubordination to me and me being insubordinate. And it's like, I've got all of these things I can talk to young leaders, I can talk to entrepreneurs, I can talk to speakers, I can talk to coaches, I can talk to parents. And it's like, I want to make sure that, when people look at their whole journey, they know that there's people who need to hear what they're going through. And so the benefits really come into, we figure out what's holding you back. Why are you stuck? Why can't you get out of your own head and into where you want to go? Then we work through and figure out what your story is. I've worked with clients where, they're like, well, I don't really have much of a story. I got this story, but that's all I got. And then I'll start asking questions. I'll be like, well, tell me about this. Oh, yeah. And then they'll start telling me all these stories. I said, those are all good stories. And then they'll tell me, and then I'll say, well, you're 50 years old, so didn't something happen in your 20s that you maybe could tell a story about? And they'll go, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought about that decade in a while. And they'll sit there and they'll think and go, I had a job when I was in my 20s. They'll start telling me about the job and the boss, and well, that's a new experience. And so I'll help them draw those things out. And then once we start getting those out, then the audience becomes much more clear, because there's people who need to hear each of those stories.
Yes, that's wow. I mean, that is so important for people, you know, and the fact that you can help them find clarity
Hmm.
among all the pieces, right,
Yes,
that they have. So
absolutely.
that's awesome. And thank you for that. I think
Yeah.
that's going to be a huge um, benefit for
Hmm.
people as they move forward.
Yeah.
You are also a Maxwell Leadership Certified team member. What does
Yeah.
that mean?
Yeah. Well, John Maxwell created a program back in 2011 to help kind of get people who followed him into a group to train them as speakers, coaches, and leadership development people.
Okay.
And at the beginning, they thought they'd have a couple hundred people. Well, here we are, what, almost 13 years later, they are now over 50,000 people in the team.
Wow.
And I think they're in over 126 countries. And it's gone way beyond what they thought. And what that does is it gives me a lot of John's materials to work with as a basis for the things I put together. Now, some of those materials I use exactly as they are. Other ones I look at and say, you know what, they're helpful, and I could take a chapter here, I could take a quote here. And so I use some of John's material in some of the things, in some of my speeches and some of my trainings, because he is an incredible expert on leadership and communication. And so, helping people communicate, of course, I'm going to naturally go to John and take some of his wisdom and bring it into my experience and bring it into people's experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he has certainly given his life
Absolutely.
to develop leaders
Yes.
in our world, actually,
Yes.
at this point.
Yes,
So that's
absolutely.
amazing that you've developed that partnership with
Hmm.
him. And John Maxwell has written a lot of books as well. Do you incorporate some of the
Hmm.
teachings from his books?
Yes. Yes. I've got several favorites. The ones that I really bring into this program, Put Your Dream to the Test is one, because he asks a series of questions. It's just important questions to ask yourself about your dream. I mean, one of my favorite questions is this really your dream?
Mm,
Because so many parents and coaches and teachers, so well-meaning, will say, Kim, you'd be really good at this.
yes.
And then we go, oh, I have to do that to please this person.
Mhm.
And so we ask that question, is this really your dream? And sometimes we have to say, no, that's really my mom's dream, or that's my dad's dream for me. That's not my dream. And when we get that honest with ourselves, it really helps us. So I love those questions. I bring that into in helping them discover their purpose. Another one is intentional living, and that one was one of my favorites that he wrote more recently, where I really help people just think through, why are you here? What is the significance you want to leave, and help them think through that process. And again, it brings a lot of good pieces there. And Change Your World is a complement to that book. It was almost like, he said it's like almost Intentional Living 2.0, because he partnered with another author and was able to really bring change into many countries. It was the basis of their transformation of many countries around the world. And so those books I bring into the conversation, and other books. I mean, I'm very familiar with a lot of his other books, and so depending on the client, I may bring other pieces in to help them develop in areas they need to, so that they can get up in front of their audience the way they need to.
That's amazing. I know a lot of us have followed John Maxwell for many years, and
Hmm.
isn't it amazing how that leadership has also developed into your own world and into your business of
Yes,
coaching. So
absolutely.
thank you so much for sharing what you share with other
Hmm.
people, and specifically for being here with us today.
Thank you so much, Kim. I appreciate being here.
Thanks, David.
Thanks.